So hi guys, today we're going to have a look at another of the warcasters from the Prime rulebook, this time from the Cryx faction, and this is going to be Iron Lich Asphyxious. Now, we'll have a look under the close cam and have a look at, this is the new sculpt of Asphyxious. The old one was, it was a bit frail compared to this, I would say. This basic bottom half of Asphyxious, if you can just see, is a nice big chunk of metal. It's really quite impressive now, rather than the sort of rather flimsy skirt that he used to have before. Here we have his weapon, Soul Splitter, which, as we can see, is a cleft spear of some sort. His body. Now, anybody who knows a bit about the fluff of Cryx will know that Asphyxious is basically the skull of a powerful necromancer in a steam-powered suit. And anybody from D&D will know that it's almost like a demi-lich rather than the lich, which of course he's a lich lord in this, of course. Here's a couple of little tubes and his hand, a gauntleted hand there. So let's take a look at his stat card, the important part. If you can see there, you'll see that he has 7 focus, so he's on the high end of focus for warcasters. He has a decent spread of stats. He's got a average speed, quite a good strength. His mat 6, reasonably good. Rat 3, not really that important. Doesn't have a ranged attack, so any of his ranged attacks are going to be spells, and they're all going to be based on his 7 focus, not his 3 ranged attack. Defense of 15, reasonably good. Armour of 16, which of course can be boosted up when he keeps his focus on him. So if he's got his full focus on him, that's going to be 23 in armour and a command of 7. Just to have a quick look at the icons under there, you'll see that he's also undead and causes terror. So any non-fearless units, of which Cryx don't have a lot, but there are a few, might want to stay away from him, as well as which it makes it harder for your enemy to charge at Asphyxious or enter combat with him, just because he causes terror. So Soul Splitter, of course, is a magical weapon and has reach with a power strength 15, reasonably good, and we'll get to why that's even better when we get to talk about his feat. So here's the spells that he has. We'll go through some of the spells. First of all, we might as well go straight to the heart of things. Breath of Corruption. Asphyxious can cast a spell which is called Breath of Corruption. This casts an area of effect 3 inches out to a range of 8, and let's face it, it's a great spell. It costs him 3. However, if the AoE misses, as we know it scatters, this isn't a blast, this is a cloud, and a cloud effect, unlike a blast, does the full damage, the full power damage to anything that it lands on. So that scattering cloud is still going to do the power 12 that it does normally whenever it lands on top of anyone. So it's a horrendously powerful spell for 3 points, and with his 7 points, 7 focus, he can cast that a couple of times per turn. If he's using arc nodes, of course, that's going to increase his range to a phenomenal amount of the table. His control area is 14 inches, so any of his arc nodes within 14 inches of him, he can throw those Breath of Corruptions out to another 8 on top of any of your opponent's units or solos. It can just cause horrendous damage, because not only does it do damage, it also causes the corrosion effect. So if it scatters on top of anybody, it's going to be causing 1 auto damage to anybody that lands under it. It's horrendous, an absolutely horrendous spell. But it's why he's commonly regarded by anybody who plays Warmachine as one of the cheesiest warcasters about, just simply because you can sit firing that through arc nodes for turn after turn, eating away at your opponent's units and solos until there's very little left. Of course, if it lands on a warcaster as well, you can boost it right up to cause a horrendous amount of damage. So then he's got Hellfire, which is a single target spell. Any target that he hits with Hellfire has to make a command check or it runs away. That's if it survives, because it's a power 14 damage attack as well. So it's another incredibly powerful spell. As you've probably gathered so far, this guy's really all about spells. He's a spellcasting warcaster, as opposed to some of the melee focused guys or the more ranged focused. It's all about spells for the Lich Lord. He's got Parasite, so he can reduce the armour of one of his enemies and increase his own armour at the same time. He has Scything Touch, which is a nice little boost or buff spell that he can put on one of his warjacks or one of his units just to increase the melee attack and damage by a couple of points. They also get critical corrosion actually whenever he uses Scything Touch, so any critical hits are going to put the corrosion effect onto the target. And finally, he's got Teleport, so just in case he gets into trouble, he can teleport himself 8 inches away just to really mess with your opponent's plans. So let's get down to the meat of some of these things as well. He has a feat, and his feat is called Consuming Blight. Now, Consuming Blight will not only damage your opponents inside your control area. Anything living takes it's a nominal amount of damage. I think it's a power. Let's check it out, power 5. So it's not a lot. So it's 2d6 plus 5 against anything in his control area that's living. However, that also recharges all his focus for the turn. So effectively, on a turn that he's using his feat, he can use twice his focus. So it's 14 points of focus that he's going to get. With his weapon, Soul Splitter, we'll see on the back here that he has Sustained Attack on it. Now, Sustained Attack means that if he hits a target, he can keep hitting that target automatically as long as he keeps paying for attacks against it. And with 14 focus points and 1 focus for an additional attack, you can imagine that can turn out to be an insane amount of damage against one guy. So what you can do with Asphyxious is, if you can get your charge against the warcaster, and with Asphyxious, with his reach and with the extra charge inches, you're talking 11 inches he can run in a charge. So he can charge straight in 11 inches and hit the enemy warcaster with Soul Splitter. Soul Splitter then gets a sustained attack. You can then keep spending your focus points for additional attacks, hitting him again and again and again automatically. Then you can use your feat, do damage at power 5 against everything in your control area, recharge your 7 focus, and keep paying. So it can turn out to be a horrendous amount. Not only, of course, can you do that, you could also, if you wished, use that spell of Breath of Corruption. So cast Breath of Corruption, cast Breath of Corruption again, boost if you want the attack rolls, use your feat, get another load of focus, boost it again, keep casting it. He's got such an amount of stuff that he can do with that feat. It's an incredibly good and incredibly easy feat to use, which is why I would recommend him for anybody who's starting out with a Cryx force and who wants to change from the Denegra model from the starter set. Try Iron Lich Asphyxious and you won't be disappointed. So we'll get him assembled, we'll get some ink on him, and we'll have a look at some of the details. So hi guys, we're back, and now I've got my Iron Lich Asphyxious and I've covered him in ink. Now we've had some gremlins in the works, so I wonder if anybody can guess exactly how long it's taken for me to film this second part. There's a couple of clues if you can spot them, but this was a heartache to put together. He fell apart multiple times with my green stuff and glue mix that I put on him. He was awful trying to get him together, although that wasn't helped by Warren trying to help. So perhaps if you're trying to put him together and you don't have a Warren, then you might have better luck than I did. But after that, we've got him together. He looks fantastic. I did a slight repose on one of his arms, just so that he's holding his spear and his arm outstretched, so that if I fancy maybe putting a glass bead or something, or a globe perhaps in his hand, just to make it a bit more exciting, then I could do that. Other than that, like I say, I just put some of the ink on him just so you can see some of the details. As you can see, he looks fantastic. He's a really nice new sculpt. Much better, I think, than the original one, which in my mind was a bit static and was a bit thin and a bit what would you say? A bit frail, like I said in the first part. So yep, now he's vastly improved, and you can now take him out then with your vast array of Mechanothrals and boost them up with Scything Touch and get them to do some serious damage. So tell us what you think of this new sculpt of Asphyxious. Is he any good? Did you take him as your first choice after Warwitch Denegra from the starter box? Or are you just going to avoid him completely and go for something else? Perhaps one of the new ones, the new Liches like Venethrax. So tell us all about it. Drop some comments below and let's see if we can get a conversation going.